free higher education for the poor, much as it is at the moment. And then we support a graded system of partial support for students who are in the middle level and in the upper level. And then students who can afford to pay for higher education, we don't think should be given free education.
What came out, it sounds like as if you are not supporting education, and that is incorrect, because as you just indicated, yes, it's a graded system that you support. But what is the sort of solution for South Africa's higher education here in South Africa?
Well, we've put forward a plan which says that for an additional 20 billion a year, about twice as many students can be supported, and at the same time, higher education institutions can get an increased subsidy. Because our analysis of the causes of the situation says that the whole reason why it's arisen is because subsidies have gone down over the last 20 years and student numbers have gone up. So while 20 years ago per student head 20,000 was being spent, it's now 15,000. And that is why fees have gone up, to compensate for the missing funding that the state is no longer giving universities. So we believe it has to be quite a complex solution, additional funding for universities and a tiered system for students.
But isn't that currently what government does have in place in terms of their tier system? And they've even made it open more for sort of the missing middle students that accommodate them as well.
They don't quite have a tiered system. Their new proposal will put forward a graded system, which is similar to a tiered system, but unbelievably complex to implement. And we're worried about that. So we're putting forward a very simple system, 3 tiers. You're either very poor, you get all the money. You're a little bit better off, you get 2/3 of the money. And you're a little bit better off, you get 1/3 of the money, and then you're wealthy and you get no money.
What can we expect then from the Fees Commission, which is currently underway?
Well, I very much hope the Fees Commission takes to heart our point about more government subsidy for universities. It's no use just giving money to students. Not all of it goes to universities. Many students don't get government money, and they don't ever pay their fees, and so they go into debt. So unless more money is given to the universities themselves, this ratcheting of fees up every year is going to continue.
What about NSFAS, the National Students Financial Aid Scheme? Is that not a viable option?
NSFAS needs to be fundamentally revamped. You know, it's quite an old institution now, and I think it's pretty dated. It's become very convoluted in what it does and inefficient. And I would suggest, we suggest a revamp of NSFAS and a reopening of a new scheme.
If it's a new scheme, would they need more money?
Yes. We believe an additional 20 billion for both NSFAS and the additional subsidy would make an enormous difference. It wouldn't cover all costs for everybody, which is what we think is unaffordable. We estimate that will cost 60 billion. And we don't think that's affordable, and we think government has to have other priorities as well, such as health. And so we're putting forward what we think is a more modest proposal of an additional 20 billion.
Students did indicate, student movements, that they will not stop until they get a fee-free education. Your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts are that that is actually quite a minority of students now. Most students, I think, want to get back to work and want a viable, doable solution that works. The smaller minority who want full fee-free education, I think, is shrinking. It might make a lot of noise again this year, but I don't think it's the majority of students.
Will it ever be resolved then, Professor, you think?
Well, we'll have to wait and see what happens this year. My sense is that there will be protests this year, but they may not be of the scale that they were in previous years.